that is what this webinar is. It is Escaping California. And let's see here. So here are the ground rules. First of all, thank you to the speakers and to everyone attending. This will be about 1 hour long. We'll try to hit all the topics. We'll definitely hit all the cities. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. Depending on what your question is, I may ask it or I may not. Just depends on the question. And anything that any of us say that sounds like tax or legal advice, I'm not a tax or legal professional. Or any of you guys tax or legal professionals?
No, sir.
Nope.
Yeah. So please verify anything we say that's tax or legal with an appropriate professional. So this webinar is going to be kind of like speed dating a city. So I have this very disturbing graphic up. So our all-star panel, we have Shannon, and I don't know if Tyler's off somewhere.
It'll just be me. He's at another appointment. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, he probably calls you his better half, I imagine. And Shannon's from Austin. Leanne is from Nashville. If you want to say hi, Leanne.
Hello.
Okay, well done. Annie's in Raleigh-Durham.
Hey there.
Jeff is in Seattle.
Hello.
Are you sleepless in Seattle? No, I'll try to avoid the bad puns. Okay.
That's okay.
Janet's in Tampa.
Hi.
Okay, so first we'll talk about why are people escaping California. So before I talk about that, I want to say I love San Diego. So I'm not saying San Diego is a bad place to be. It is wonderful, but there are people leaving San Diego and California. And for example, from July 2019 to July 2020, there was a net 135,000 out migration of people. So there are people escaping or leaving. And the reasons that I hear are some are selling their homes, have gone up so much in value, they're cashing out, taking the money to buy less expensive elsewhere or lower cost of living. Another one is people who maybe can't buy a home or buy a home that they like here. So it's sort of the flip side of that. Another thing is the general cost of living is high in San Diego. The taxes, California, we've got really high taxes for everything. Some people say a difference of philosophy. And then also some people, the ability to telecommute means they can live anywhere. So those are some of the reasons I've heard. So really quickly, some more information. California and San Diego, we are #1, but not necessarily in good categories. So I want to just go over some numbers here. First of all, cost of living, taxes, and house prices. So if we compare San Diego, say the cost of living, now the stats that I saw said that Seattle is actually higher than San Diego. I don't know if that's true, but these are some stats that I saw online, and we know you can always believe everything you see online, so it has to be true. And then income tax rates, California has 13.3. The only other state with any kind of tax of people joining us this evening, the agents and representing their cities, is Raleigh-Durham has, or North Carolina, I guess, has a max of 5.25. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Then sales tax, that's kind of a lesser thing. We're not necessarily the highest. Property taxes, we tend to lead, even though I guess Austin in some places has kind of high property taxes. Gas tax, California and Washington are pretty much, I guess we're in competition for having the highest gas taxes. And then the median house price, this is not the median home price, but the median house price, we've got San Diego leading the pack here amongst everyone, with Nashville, Raleigh-Durham, and Tampa being way lower than we are. And Austin's still pretty low. So those are some stats. So let's talk about what does 250, 500, 750, and $1 million buy in various cities. So let's talk to Shannon about Austin, and we have a few photos of different places. So Shannon, do you want to kind of describe whether it's these properties in particular or what they're representative of?
Yes, these are just properties that I found. It's been a couple weeks whenever we put the slideshow together, but just things I found on a search on the MLS. And so I have to say that the sales price, these are the listing prices, they're deceptive because pretty much everything gets multiple offers. So you need to expect that what it sells for could be 10 to 20% higher. At the 250 range, we really don't have houses in that price range. There's that little one that's 250 in Georgetown that was kind of a fixer upper. It probably sold for 300, 325, somewhere
Wow.
around there. So you're not going to get something great for 250, possibly a 1-bedroom condo. But it's, that's about it. We are seeing people buy land, but even land has become a hot commodity. So we're seeing multiple offers on land. Everyone's buying up land in Texas, whether they want to build on it or just, do something in the future. At the 500,000, you definitely, if you have a budget of 500, you can definitely buy it. You have some good options.
Mhm.
You're not going to be in the heart of the city for 500,000. Again, you could probably get a nice, like a luxury 1-bedroom condo. But if you're willing to go out to some of our little suburb communities, you can get some great houses. They're just going to be a little bit further, like maybe 20, 30 minutes outside the city. So those are a couple of examples of ones that you could get for like the 450. And again, those are a little bit lower, but you got to expect that they bid upwards. So that 450 could easily closed at 500 or so.
Gotcha. Then we have 750 to $1 million here.
Yep. These are going to be, is Central Austin is going to be pricier. There's some older historic parts of town and where they've torn down the little houses and they build the kind of cool modern looking homes that you see there, like the 950. Or you could be out in the suburbs, the west part in Lakeway. We have the big rolling like Texas Hill Country. People pay a premium to have a nice view. So you'll see some higher end, homes there. If you don't need the view and you still want to be in Lakeway, that 750 range. Cedar Park is kind of also in the, in the hill country, but those homes are not going to have beautiful views. They're probably going to have a neighbor behind them, but you can still get something nice, a little more luxury in that price range.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Well, we will come back to Austin. Let's move over to Nashville, Tennessee, and Leanne, our Nashville expert. So here's some photos from Nashville, and I guess Fairview is a suburb of Nashville.
Fairview is a suburb that is anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes from the heart of the city.
Mhm.
And I have become a bigger fan of it over the last year as affordability becomes more of an issue. And
Okay.
it is in one of the most affluent counties in the Southeast, but that community of about 10,000 people, it's still very affordable.
Gotcha. And is that where Dolly lives?
Now, Dolly lives in Sevierville most of the time. She has a place in Leapers Fork, which is about 20 minutes from Fairview. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can still, you can definitely still get in a single family home in Fairview.
Mhm.
You're pushing the limits to get into a single family home for 250 in
Yeah.
Nashville.
But this looks pretty cute. This one in
Yeah.
Fairview.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
500, you can get a ton of house in Fairview, still get a really nice house in Nashville. 500 is kind of the affordability max for in the city of Nashville. You can go in any direction 20 to 30 minutes and get a ton of house for $500,000.
Now, let me just ask
Brand new
you,
construction, 2,800, 3,200 square feet.
just sort of a random question. That house for 250 in Fairview, what would that rent for? Do you have a feel for that? If not, that's okay.
It would, there was one down the street from this one. Hang on just a second and I'll tell you. 1,600.
Okay. I just threw that out there in case anybody on the webinar is thinking, well, I'm not going to move, or maybe I am going to move, and maybe I want to buy an investment property or two in the Nashville area. Okay, let's look at 750 to $1 million. Wow, those are some nice places.
Well, you can see the square footage. The 725 in Nashville, that was actually a sale price, not a list price.
Okay.
You can get, like I said, once you get over 500-600, you can get a lot of custom finishes or high-end finishes and still get a great house with up to 3,000 square feet.
Okay. All
Now,
right.
the Fairview one obviously is larger. $1 million is unless you get into estates, $1 million is kind of unusual in Nashville.
So hard to spend that.
Yes,
Okay.
unless you are in a penthouse overlooking downtown or in a really expensive neighborhood. There's probably one neighborhood that'll go over $1 million occasionally.
Gotcha.
But you go 20, 25 minutes out and you can get 20 acres with it.
Well, let us move on to Annie, who's in Raleigh, Durham, which are, I guess, they're kind of sister cities, would you say?
It's called the Triangle, so Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, but we're focusing on Raleigh, Durham here.
Okay.
The Triangle is basically it's all tied together by the park, or Research Triangle Park, as everybody knows, where all the farmers are at. The homes here, you'll notice that we have quite a few different price points. This, as you can see, Raleigh Cary. Cary is a very big suburb of Raleigh, of the Raleigh area. Sorry, Cary is a large suburb of the Raleigh area. And the homes here, these two in particular, happen to have popped up. And as to Shannon, who spoke to Austin, we're in the same position with multiple offers and over asking. So people are coming in, you're seeing that 10 to 20% overage, waiving contingencies, et cetera, on the offer situation. And as you go up the price points, there is a little bit more inventory as you're going up. And those homes, we're still seeing a lot of demand, even in the higher price points, both in Raleigh and Durham. So with that said, those homes don't take as long as they used to, which was a 6-month variance on the market.
6 months to sell. Wow.
6 months to sell, and anything over 500 in this area up until last year was considered luxury in the Raleigh area.
Wow. Well, let's move to 500. So
correct. So you're seeing a lot more there. These homes are somewhere in the 3,000 square foot mark.
wow.
4 bedrooms on average in this area. Now, if you go to the more central of what we consider the Beltline, the Hayes Barton homes, or the downtown Durham historic homes, you're looking at homes there that are smaller, but obviously it's location, right?
Right.
So therefore, you're going to have that mix of the downtown, which has a huge demand because the walkability and the entertainment, the shopping, the dining, etc. So those fly probably within a month, not even a day. I mean, some of them, I just had one go on with the market yesterday at 750, and I had multiple offers sight unseen. So it's quite a hot pocket. It's one of the most recession resistant cities from 2020 that they've actually voted through smart asset. So it's a nice little tidbit there. So it's a great area. It's as far as the residents, you have a dense suburban feel as you come in and out of the different neighborhoods and suburban areas. So you have small towns that really surround the Durham and Raleigh areas. And we can go into more detail at another time, of course.
Okay. So these are some homes for 750, and let me just move over.
These are in the 750s, and you'll notice that once you start to get into the higher luxury, a lot more land, a lot more of the, tear down the old, bring in the new with the contemporary at the 935 there. That one sold at 960, if I'm not wrong. It was a colleague of mine that listed that. That was a complete tear down. The $1 million one in the Raleigh Cary area, that sold for 1.4.
Okay.
It's quite impressive.
They got 1.4.
1.4 for that.
Wow.
That was in a and that one is actually in a country club setting, resort style living. So it's very desirable central area. And then the same with top in Durham.
So if you really want to spend $1 million, then it's hard to do it in Nashville, but you can do it in Raleigh, Durham.
Yes.
I'm sure you can do it in Nashville too.
You can do it on the resort style communities in Nashville. Yeah,
Okay.
and you can live down the road from Kid Rock.
Well, that's my goal in life, actually. So just send me a list of homes. Uh, is he even still performing? Anyway, we'll just move on.
I don't know.
Okay, now we've got Jeff in Seattle, and let's see here. So Seattle, I'm going to guess it's not the entire building for 250, but it's a
No,
condo in the building.
it's just a condo, and I wanna be very transparent. When I picked the area, Seattle's very dense. It's not sprawled out. So I looked at King County. There's Seattle proper, and then there's East King County. There's North and South. So I tried to stay as close to Seattle as possible, which is also East King County. So yeah, this is just a 2-bedroom condo. That's what it's sold for.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's what you don't get a whole lot for 250 in Seattle. Right now, today, you'd have to go to a different county, like a faraway county, to find anything for 250. The house below is probably a tear down. You might get an investor that goes in there and kind of, spruces it up, but you don't get anything for 250 really in this area.
Okay. Well, let's see what you get for 500. Those are looking
So-
pretty decent.
So 500 is kind of entry level. I would say anything under 500 in the Seattle area, there's going to be multiple offers. Like I had one of my agents yesterday made an offer on a house that was priced at I think 425. It sold well over 500, and there were like 34 offers on it.
Wow.
It's just that price point there's a lot of demand for it because everybody can afford that in this area.
Right. With the low interest rates, I mean, payment's pretty low. Okay,
Yes.
let's look at 750.
So 750, our medium home price in this area is 740,000. So this kind of gives you an idea. The home on the bottom there is in Seattle itself. The home above is in the outskirts of one of the suburban areas. Again, when I did these examples, these were houses that had actually closed.
Okay.
If either one of those houses were to go on the market, I would say the one in the left-hand corner would probably sell for over 800. The one on the bottom, because it's the city of Seattle, it's probably not going to move very much because, the city, people are moving out of Seattle because we're having our issues here too, but they still want to stay in the area because they love the area. So a lot of people are moving to, East King County.
Okay. Let's see what $1 million gets you.
So again, the one on the top is not far from where I live. And when I pulled this comp, I was kind of blown away because it's a tiny house. It's all about location here in Seattle.
Mhm.
So this one was a 2,200 square foot home. It was I can't believe the builder was Weyerhaeuser, really basic finishes. But the reason that house sold for $1 million in this area was the location. It was in the town of Snoqualmie, which is in the base of the mountains. It's about 30 minutes east of Seattle. And it's all about the community there. The one on the bottom, a little bit lower, that one was out in Renton, which is, again, that's a pretty high price point. I would say 5 years ago, that house probably sold for 450, maybe 500,000.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's take a look. Oh, we have some bonus, 1.5 million.
So 1.5, just because of where we are, I know it sounds crazy to some of you guys, but it's really not it's not luxury. This is usually a 2-income family. Maybe one of them works for Microsoft. And this is pretty much in my opinion, kind of the norm. Again, it's not the luxury. To get into luxury here, you're probably pushing 1.8 and above.
Okay.
Both of these are probably 3,500 square feet. They've got a little bit of land. When I say a little bit of land, I'm talking maybe 15,000 square feet. The one on the bottom, the older the house, the more land it probably had, because as these builders got smarter, they started to, reduce the amount of land they were given when they were dividing.
Okay. Well, let's get an airplane and fly over to Tampa, where Janet lives and serves and helps people. So Janet, so we've got a couple here, 250 and for 260 and 535. So tell us about those.
So right now, the 260 in, I actually added one in Clearwater because I handle Tampa Bay, which is Tampa, St. Pete, and Clearwater. Right now in the Tampa area, it's really hard to find anything in the 250 range, whether it's north or we go further east or west. So in the Clearwater area, that was actually a listing of mine. It's a 3-2, one-car garage, and it's in downtown area, side skirts of the Clearwater area. So basically it's still close to everything and walkable distance, but it needed some renovations. So that's what you
Okay.
can buy. It's good for an investor. Actually, the rental income on that property was 1,800. And then these are actually all my listings that I had. So Tarpon Springs, if we go further out by the water, a lot of people come here for the sunshine and, you know, Florida lifestyle. They want the water view and they want the boat lifestyle and just all that. So this Tarpon Springs one, we listed actually at 510. This was right before the pandemic started. And then we went up to 535. And that's pre-pandemic. And that's like a 4-bedroom, 4-bath house. It's 3 levels and it has an elevator in that particular house, actually.
Okay, and then let's quickly look at these two here.
And
This looks nice.
745 is in Oldmar, another suburb of Tampa. It's in a gated community. It's a brand new, pretty brand new home. It's 2 years old. Great acreage, and has a pool in the back. And that sold for 745. And then in the South Tampa area is the most expensive place to live on the Hillsborough side, and median price point is like 1.3 million. And that's a
Okay.
house that I sold as well.
Very good. So let me stop the screen share so we can see everybody. So question, what will surprise people most about your city? So in any random order, whoever wants to say what will surprise people most about your city?
I guess I can start. I think people don't realize like how big Austin is. And so it's surprising like when they actually get here and realize like how far the different little suburbs areas are and just even crossing the city. But like where I live out towards Lakeway and Spicewood, which is on the west part of town. And if I needed to go somewhere on the east side, which I don't work that side of town as much because of the drive, but it's like over an hour and 15 minutes, almost an hour and a half to cross it. And so
So
I
you're
think
saying
people
Texas
don't
is big?
get that.
You're
Yeah,
saying
but they
Texas is big?
somehow it's that I would say that's the most surprising thing. And even if you're out in the suburbs where I live, like, okay, it's 20 minutes to get here, but they don't realize how far it is because then you're on a freeway and they're like, oh my God, we're just driving and driving. But yeah, you're doing 70 miles an hour out there, but they don't realize like the perception of how spread out things are.
Okay. And who else has a surprising thing about their city? Okay,
Tampa feels like a smaller city, but we're actually a big city feel in a smaller area. It's grown a lot. I've been here for 7 years, and we can get almost anything and everything here. We're close to the beach. We're close to amusement parks. We have an international airport. You know, Amazon landed itself here not too far away. So it's just a growing city.
okay.
So can I include not just Seattle, but the state of Washington?
Whatever you want.
Okay, so the state of Washington, there's really 2 parts of it. There is the nice, lush, beautiful green Seattle, and then you have Eastern Washington, which is like a desert, and it's just rolling hills, and you have different philosophies from the Cascade Mountains right in the middle. So yeah, that's not a lot of people know that only 50 miles east of Seattle, it becomes a desert.
And do a lot of people live out there, or?
There's a lot of second homes out there. Yes, there's some great vacation spots. Spokane, Washington has
Okay,
become a pretty hot spot. It's very close to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. It's an absolutely beautiful part of the state. But it's 5 hours from us. It's like a whole different world.
wow, 5 hours. Okay. All right. Anyone else?
I'm happy to share. So I have a couple of tidbits that we have here in the Raleigh Durham. Since I have two, I'll say a couple. So we're one of the top 10 global emerging ecosystems of today and tomorrow. And it's one of the top 10 US cities best positioned to recover from what? Coronavirus. How about that? Um, it's also number one upcoming IT city in the USA, other than Silicon Valley. We have, another announcement coming up forward in a few minutes, but we also, this was something that I found quite interesting because we got Nashville in the house here too, but it said one of the best American cities for live music, quote, besides Nashville by Reader's Digest.
Well, I know
So
Austin's
that's
also
a
good.
fun
'Cause I've,
tidbit.
I've been in a hotel that back to, was it 6th Street?
Yep, 6th
Yeah.
Street.
Because when I went to Austin for a real estate webinar, and when I checked in the hotel, they gave me earplugs. And I'm like, okay. And then I found out what it was for, because the hotel back to 6th Street with live music till all hours of the night. All right, anyone else?
I'll go.
Yeah,
I think people would be surprised how much tech industry and healthcare industry there is in Nashville. You automatically think of country music.
right, yes.
And the culture is far more sophisticated, I think, than most people. And you can't go by my accent as far as how sophisticated everybody is. People from
Vanderbilt's there,
Nashville
right?
think I'm from Alabama.
Huh.
Go figure.
Interesting.
We have right now the only Picasso exhibit in the United States is in Nashville, Tennessee at the Frist Art Museum.
Wow.
The only exhibit for the year 2021.
Interesting. Well, before we actually started the webinar, I was saying I can't think of anything to say about San Diego, but I will say this. I live in Pacific Beach, which is, I don't know, 20, 25 miles from the border with Mexico, but I can see Mexico from my house. So that's all I can figure out. Okay, so what's it like living there? I'll just, on my screen, I've got Janet in the upper left-hand corner, the #1 slot. So I'll just say, what's it like living in Tampa? A good place
Like
to raise a
you're on
family, retire?
vacation every day. It just feels, because the weather is nice. When I'm driving from Tampa across the bridge, I mean, I'm going through, I see water, and I just feel like I'm on vacation every day. It's just very peaceful. I mean, I lived in Dallas. I'm from New York City originally, so to me, I'm like on vacation every day. I come home. I actually live on a lake, so it's like I can go fishing if I want to, and just go swimming and just unwind and relax, like you're at a resort, right? So if you can get that lifestyle here, why not?
So I probably shouldn't ask you this question, but other people may be wondering, like, I don't know the geography of Florida that well and the weather patterns, but do you get hurricanes there?
We do, however, Tampa is more inland, so we're more protected. So a lot of people, even from the East Coast, are moving towards where we are here in Central Florida.
Okay. And then on my screen, Shannon has the next spot. So what's it like living in Austin? Is it a good place for family, retire? What's it like?
Yeah, I live over in the west part of Austin, which is more of the hill country. So I think people think of Texas being very flat and desert-like, which a big majority of it is. But if you go just to the west part of Austin and then out to like Fredericksburg, Kerrville, it is just absolutely beautiful, big rolling hills. You have lakes, rivers. We have 60 wineries around us. We have a huge wine industry, which people don't realize coming from California. So we love, like, it's just an easy drive. Like you take a day trip, it's just beautiful scenic drives. And then you can go stop at a few wineries, have some really good food. It's easy to get to, like, there's different parks and resorts and stuff with lots of hiking, lots of outdoor type of activities. And I would say Austin is kind of, it's like more of an active lifestyle, but then we also do have a lot of retirees, and like in the Lakeway area, there's tons of like golf course resorts, all kinds of, great things. So we love where we live here. And I also like that it's kind of like in the middle of Texas, because Texas is very spread out, but it's like You can get to San Antonio in an hour and a half. And that's where I grew up and have a lot of family, but it's not that horrible of a drive. You can be in Dallas in 3 hours, Houston in 3 hours. So we're kind of like the hub in the middle that connects to everything else. So I like that aspect of it.
Okay. Let's see. How about Leanne? You're in the next slot on my screen anyway.
We do have a lot of retirees, but I don't think of it as a retiree magnet, more families, honestly. Lots of parks. We have 127 public parks, some up to 3,000 acres. Beautiful. If you've never been to Tennessee, you probably would be surprised at how rolling it is.
Okay.
Lots of outdoor activities. I think probably geared more towards families than anyone.
Well, my mother grew up in Memphis, so when I was a little kid, we'd go to Memphis every summer. And what I remember are lightning bugs,
Yeah,
and heat lightning, which was like lightning without rain or anything, which was really
it will light up the whole sky like it's daytime. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And doesn't Dolly Parton have like a amusement park there or something?
That's in East Tennessee in the Smoky Mountains,
Okay.
that's where Dolly's from.
Okay.
She has a huge amusement park that's been a big success, and she expands it every few years.
Okay. Jeff, tell us about Seattle. What's it like living there, raising a family, retiring? Do you need an umbrella?
Yes. Seattle sells more sunglasses than any other city per capita. It's because we lose them, because we take them off and we can't find them. Seattle it's a playground when you can go outside. Seattle, it's kind of a myth that it rains a lot. It does rain, but it's gray here. But when it's blue skies, there's no better place on the earth that I would rather be. So lots of golfing, skiing. Where I live, I can be on the ski slopes in 40 minutes, or I can be on my boat in 40 minutes. Lots of water here. We've got Lake Washington, Lake Sammamish. We got the Puget Sound. If you like to boat, that's a great place. A lot of people have RVs. We have a boat, and we just cruise the Puget Sound area, which is, absolutely beautiful. Lots of hiking, lots of parks, lots of festivities. We do a big event every August. It's called Seafair. It's a week-long thing. It starts off with a parade in downtown Seattle, and it finishes off with the Blue Angels performing for 3 days at the hydroplane races. So there's just so much to do. We're really known for, we've got good restaurants.
Good coffee too, right?
Coffee, yeah. Starbucks is from here.
Right.
And but a lot of people, there's a lot of corner coffee spots that are probably more popular than Starbucks. Starbucks is like, I need my fix. But we have a place right next to our office called Issaquah Coffee, and it's packed all the time. And that's pretty much across the city. And I think, we've got the Space Needle here. We've got Mount Rainier, which is just a couple of hours away. If you like to be outside and you don't mind getting a little wet, this is the place to be.
Do they still throw the fish at what's it called? Pike's
Place Market, yes. Pike's Place Market in the waterfront. One of my favorite things to do is just to get on a ferry. I have a boat, but just, whenever I have a showing over on the other side of the pond is what they call it. It's fun just to get on the ferry and cruise across, and, the smell of salt water, and hearing the seagulls chirping away. It's absolutely beautiful. And again, when it's got that Florida weather, it's absolutely no better place to be.
Gotcha. Okay. Annie, how about you?
All right. So Raleigh, Durham, as far as the quality of life, like for children, families, Raleigh, Durham is a very big hotspot. It's been known as the Smithsonian of the South, with 7 different museums locally. So it's south of DC, of course. It's one of the top cities that they have the free business environment with high rankings in the healthcare, education, and environmental quality. It's a really good city also for teleport users. It's like 3.4% of the city is a teleport user.
You guys have teleportation in
Yes.
Raleigh, Durham,
That is correct.
like Star Trek?
Star Trek, here we come. Beam me up, Scotty.
Well, what is, I don't even know, when you say teleport, do you mean what do you mean?
Like, work from home, if you will.
Oh, okay, got it. My mind
Um,
went in the wrong direction.
Yep. So the Enneagrams is a really big popular way of describing cities. And I did it on Raleigh and I didn't do it on Durham. I couldn't quite get to it because it just had everything of every type. But Raleigh, the type 4 of the Enneagram came out as the individualist, like calling all creatives, right? So I looked up to see who they were, and Clay Aiken, Tiff Merritt, and Ryan Adams are all from Raleigh, right? So it was just a huge to do. And then what was the name of, it's a San Diego Chargers quarterback, Philip Rivers.
Oh, yes.
He made Raleigh his home.
Well, actually, I don't know what you're talking about because I heard a rumor. We used to have a team. Now there's an LA team with the same name. I don't really understand what happened, but I am familiar with Philip Rivers.
Yes, so he's here too. So we have a lot of Raleigh Durham is very central, so it's the triangle, but we're basically an hour from the beaches and 2.5 hours from the mountains. So it's a very fun city where you can just take off, go anywhere. We have the Eno River area where you have mountains, historic areas, and a lot of hiking, a lot of natural environments. A lot of ecosystems. You see it all thriving. It's a very up and coming, and I don't like using that coin term, which is always overused, but it truly is because of the top rated schools that are attracting international and national top scholars to the area. You have Duke University, NC State, UNC, which is the oldest university in the country, Campbell Law, William Peace, Meredith, NCCU, and Shaw University, just to name a few of the top ones that we have here.
Wow.
So it's a very collegiate area, which has been very sought after, especially for people looking in the medical and business entrepreneurship arena.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my son-in-law is in the medical device industry, and Raleigh Durham was one of the areas they considered moving because you guys are a big hub for that, right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Right.
There's quite a few of those here. So moving into like the food and coffee lovers, we have a couple of famed chefs here. Ashley Christensen, to name one of the big ones. She's one of the James Beard Foundation outstanding chefs. And from Top Chef, we have Katsuji Tanabe with his
It's easy for you
right
to
when
say.
the recession started. I actually am dying to go to his restaurant. So then we have a historic Angus barn, which everybody has to go there. But it's the claim to fame. It's over 100 years old, and it's kind of that halfway between Raleigh and Durham in a Briar Creek area, and just great. You have what's his name, Kenny Gilbert, who's a top chef alum as well. And then of course the best bagels in the world is called Best Bagels in America is bolted bread and bench warmers, just the best to die for. As far as up and coming here, we're getting a 20,000 seated stadium in downtown Raleigh, which we can't raise. It's called Downtown South is the area that's up and coming. You have that North Hills Innovation District, which is where the high rises are all coming in. Old homes are getting torn down and just brand new ones, $1 million houses coming in. So you're paying for a lot for good land and just really making a lot of buck on that. You have a ton of craft breweries everywhere. So just that brewery hopping and so forth. You have a lot of, each little suburb of the area has their own farmers market, if you will. So spending the afternoon hopping between each of the farmers market on Saturday and Sunday, it's just perfect because they all time them so that people can jump and just do that farmers market hopping. And then you have the state farmers market year round here, 365 open, and it's located in Raleigh.
Okay.
So just a few tidbits.
You actually kind of covered the next topic too, which let me share a screen here, which are various neighborhoods, which are the popular ones and or up and coming. which are good for foodies and coffee lovers. So Janet, let me ask you, you know, however you want to answer that question, what neighborhoods would apply here for you?
For myself here in the Tampa area, we have Wesley Chapel, we have Lutz, we have Odessa. Those are more areas where you can build, have new construction, have a little bit more elbow room between the homes, about half an acre each home. And you have good school districts. We have Wesley Chapel where they have a man-made lagoon there, which is really, really popular. It's really a nice feature. And up and coming is, we're just going further out east, just to continue building new construction, just because everybody wants to be in Florida now. Everybody from the Northeast, particularly, and from California, are coming here because of cost of living, right? And they want the lifestyle of
Right.
being in the weather and not paying the prices, because we do have some of the best beaches here. For foodies and coffee lovers, we do have excellent coffee companies here. For foodies, we have a variety of foods here, from best steak houses to Latin food to burgers, just anything and everything. So, and Asian food is growing as well here.
Okay.
And it's really a lot of different new markets are coming in to the area as well. Like for myself, I need to find a great Asian market, and I usually have to drive further, like to Orlando for it. But the good news is that, you know, new markets are coming in this way. As I said, we are growing with the population, so everybody has an opportunity also to build their businesses here as well. So it's a nice thing.
Okay. Well, let's move over to Austin with Shannon. And when I was in downtown Austin, the food was amazing, but I have to say, probably just because I didn't know where to go, the best food I had was at the airport from Salt Lick. It was, that's a
yeah.
restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Salt
Oh, yeah.
Lick?
Yes,
That was just amazing. It was
very
just a little
good.
stand, like one guy.
Yep. You need to go to the actual restaurant when you come next time.
Okay.
So to start with, okay, the question, where is a popular area to buy? I would say North Austin is one of the hottest parts of town right now. That is our tech corridor, and we're becoming the new San Francisco. San Francisco, it was in one of the news things, is the Silicon Valley. They're calling us the Silicon Hills. So almost all the major tech corporations are putting their headquarters up across there. So we have a huge Apple campus on a street called Palmer Lane, and Palmer Lane kind of goes across the top of the city. We have a huge high-end shopping area called the Domain. That's almost like a mini version of downtown. That's also in North Austin. And so all those little suburbs around there are just exploding. Lots of new construction, which is sold out. And typically the home prices there had been cheaper, but you know, they're catching up. But that's where a lot of the growth is, because that's where all the tech jobs are, and good schools too. So that's bringing families coming mostly because of the jobs. Out west, like I said, those are also, I mean, all sides of the town are exploding. The west is going to be more high-end homes, you know, good schools, people that want the hills and the views and the lakes. Up and coming, I would say, is the east side. That's where the airport is. It's typically been a little more undeveloped industrial, but Tesla announced like, hey, we're putting our headquarters there. They're bringing in tons of jobs, lots of new construction that way because it's flat, easier to build. And it's, I would say like in 5 to 10 years, it's going to be looking like a completely different part of town where you don't recognize it anymore.
Okay.
And like I said, food culture, we thrive on, you know, our motto is keep Austin weird. We love unique restaurants. We're not big on like big chain restaurants. We have a big food truck, you know, like tons of food truck trailers and just lots of unique, really cool, you know, restaurants and stuff. And they're all over the place. Like if you asked me to find a chain restaurant, like an Olive Garden or something, it would be hard to find. I'm like, I don't know, you know, it's like there's like all the restaurants are more unique and different. And so that's one of the things I like about it.
So it's not just steakhouses and barbecue, there's a big variety.
Yeah, I mean, from all like different cultures and stuff, which I think is really cool too. We do have a big craft brewery thing. We're into, like I said, unique distilleries, wineries and stuff. So foodies would love it here.
Now, there was some guy who was a quarterback on some Texas team, and he had like for, I think, a pretty short time, and he had a restaurant. Is that, you know, the one?
Vince Young
Yes.
Steakhouse. I don't know if that survived COVID or not. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think that might have been one of the ones that didn't, that we did lose, unfortunately, a lot of little restaurants that had been like longtime staples this year, which is kind of sad.
Mhm.
But like I said, I think the restaurant industry will bounce back, once things get more normal. So, yeah.
Okay. Leanne, tell us about your popular up and coming and foodie coffee lover neighborhoods.
Popular is probably going to become more popular because Amazon they'll be finished with their Eastern operations headquarters here
Mhm.
in a year, but they've already hired 1,500. The target is 5,000. Then this week, Oracle announced, well, actually, it's been through 2 city commission votes. Oracle is planning a campus on the east banks of the Tennessee River, right across from Amazon, and they are supposed to be bringing up to 8,500 jobs.
Oh, wow.
So they're in the area that's popular now. So it's anybody's guess where the next area is going to be. It's probably, I expect it to shift to the west. East Nashville now, where they are going to be and are located, is probably the hottest area as far as the prices would surprise people. As
Mhm.
far as if you look at the house and guess what it's going to sell for. East Nashville and Germantown are probably, besides downtown, are the foodie hot spots. Of course, Nashville's known for hot chicken.
I was going to ask you, like, what's a Nashville popular or signature dish? Hot chicken?
Hot chicken.
Is that hot
And
spicy
when
or
you
hot?
order the mild version, they will warn you to think twice before you order mild. I've never made it past mild.
Okay.
Barbecue is another one. And some great steakhouses. Kane Prime, JW Marriott has a new one. Probably steak, barbecue, and chicken, hot chicken.
Okay.
But lots of diversity, especially in downtown and East Nashville and Germantown again. East Nashville and Germantown are the 2 walkable areas. The one thing I wanted to bring up that it did not occur to me until we're sitting here talking about our areas. I think Nashville is the only area that truly has 4 seasons of the year.
So it is
Right.
Raleigh.
I think Annie may be disputing that.
Annie would have to tell me how many times a year it snows in Raleigh before I'd believe her.
Enough.
I like this.
We have 2 seasons.
Well,
Wet,
on that note, let's move over to Seattle for Jeff. So, Jeff, how
What's
would you?
popular? The
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks are very popular in this area. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. We've got a new hockey team coming up too, which is kind of a big deal. Seattle's a sports city, unlike, not like East Coast sports. I mean, we're very fair weathered, but that's it. Popular cities,
Or communities.
or communities. So we've got Amazon's here and we've got Microsoft that's here. Microsoft is in a town of Redmond and Bellevue, and they tend to, like, everybody's moving in and they want to live in Redmond, Sammamish, Issaquah area. Maple Valley is another area that is starting to blow up right now just because we're landlocked.
Mhm.
Seattle, the city itself, has some really popular communities like Magnolia, Queen Anne Hill, Capitol Hill is really cool. Not a lot of people live downtown where Amazon is, but we do have a lot of high rises there. So foodies, this is a great place. I mean, we're big on seafood. We've got some good steakhouses in the area, but everything, it's like seafood and steak, right? We have a large Asian community here, so we do have a lot of good Asian food, and we have Asian markets.
Mhm.
And then of course we've got coffee lovers, like coffee places all over the place. Starbucks is headquartered here, and you know, as you guys all know, they're in every strip mall, but there are some, you know, one-offs and some smaller coffee chains that are probably just as busy as what Starbucks would be. Yeah, we just have a lot of business here. You know, we have Microsoft, Amazon, Boeing, T-Mobile. Costco is literally across the street from us, REI, and they bring in a lot of people.
Mhm. Okay. Well, let's go over to Annie in Raleigh, Durham. So tell us about popular neighborhoods, up and coming foodies and food and all that.
All right, so popular Glenwood South. Durham was recently ranked as one of the top cities for owning an electric car, so that's something that's really cool. Raleigh's trying to catch up with that right now.
Which is bigger? Raleigh? Is that bigger than Durham?
Raleigh would be larger than Durham. Raleigh, only because it's in the largest county, which is Wake County. And
Okay.
that's the largest county in the state so far. So that's why. You have the Village Subway, which is known as the Underground, which back in the 70s, it's where all the artists used to go and perform hidden from everyone else. So it was this really place to do. So now everybody's going to the Village Subway. I have yet to get there.
Is that musical artists?
Musical, correct. And
Okay.
they do dancing, all types of stuff. So they're kind of revived that era back today. There's a lot of revival in the area is what we're seeing. You have as popular areas, you know, the Midtown Raleigh, North Hills. There's a lot of, I mean, something that's really popular, which I found to be a huge gift, especially during COVID, was they have little free libraries throughout different communities and subdivisions and neighborhoods. So people just, you know, they borrow books and they take them in and out. So I do that a lot. I drop in a book and take one out if I want and stuff. And you don't have to live in that community to do that.
Now, is that a full-on library? Because like in San Diego, I see here and there people have like a giant, I'll call it like a giant birdhouse in front of their house with like a little library like that.
That's it. So the communities, they have, you know, they get together, they put together the little libraries and stuff. They're not everywhere, but they're starting to pop up more than not, especially during COVID when we were all in shutdown time, right? As far as upcoming, you have more breweries. You have the Overlook in Cameron Village, where you have a ton of buildings like high rises and walkable areas, and the Green Level Market, of course.
Mhm.
There's as far as sports, we do have a lot of sports, but we're more of a college town. You'd have to go see the Panthers over and take the train over to Charlotte to see them play.
Mhm.
But we have a new tennis facility over in the Cary area called Swing, which is really cool. Wellness center. Just a lot of health and
It's a
wellness.
new, what kind of facility?
Tennis?
That's my sport. I might move there.
It's a really nice facility. I'm dying for that to get finished. So for foodies and coffee lovers, coffee shops are everywhere. Just definitely something that I love is going to the state farmers market, and I get the fresh beans. That's just like one of my favorite times of day, really. And you just get to smell this plethora of fresh beans in the area. Restaurants, Cameron Village, Glenwood South, tons of bars. You can go bar hopping, walkable. Bin 54 is a wood-fired oven type steakhouse with sommelier, one of the few sommeliers across the country in the US. I mentioned earlier a few of the top chefs that we have in the area and the food, so I'm not gonna deliberate on that.
Okay. I have a funny story. Totally, it's relevant to food, but not actually helpful for anyone watching this webinar. But I'll just tell the story really quickly. I ate at a restaurant here in San Diego, and I try to be diplomatic, but I share my opinion. You know, when the server comes over and says, "How is everything?" If something isn't good, I tell them, I give them feedback. So in this one case, the greens, I don't even know what this vegetable was, but it was nasty. So when the server came over, I said, oh, this really is not good. So she was like, oh, let me talk to the kitchen. I go, it's no big deal. So this guy comes out of the kitchen and I said, these greens really not fit for human or even animal consumption. They were awful. And I'm there with my family and they're all foodies. And my wife and son just go white as a sheet. And I find out later it's like a celebrity chef that I just said this to. And they're like, how could you say that? And I said, I did the guy a favor, but they still haven't forgiven me. Okay.
Who was
we
the
have,
chef?
Brian Malarkey.
Okay.
I don't watch these shows, so I don't know how big he is, but he's big in San Diego, and he was very gracious and all. But
I thought you were going to say like Gordon Ramsay or something.
no, not that big. I would. I've only seen like, I don't watch the shows much, but I've seen a few minutes of Hell's Kitchen, and he doesn't seem like the nicest person. So I would happily give that feedback to him. But nevertheless, so we have a couple minutes left. Is there? Let me just ask the people on the webinar, the viewers, do you have any questions? Because we've had actually 0 questions. So that could be because you guys are so awesome that you're hitting everything. But if you want to type a question into the chat, I'll throw it out there. So I'll give you guys a second, and we may not have any because, like I said, you all on the panel have done amazing. So I don't see anything. Okay, well, we're going to assume there's no questions. So let me go back to the screen share really quick here. And I want to thank our all-star panel, and I'll send all the attendees an email with Shannon and Leanne's and Annie's and Jeff's and Janet's contact information. So if you want to reach out to them and ask questions or go buy a home or something, they'll be happy to help you. So my upcoming webinars, I've got one coming up sometime in May or June, home selling for seniors. That's not scheduled yet. And if you feel free to call or text me for a free consult, find out your home value, get tips on preparing it for sale, help you sell a home. If you want to not escape California, but stay here, we'll help you buy a home or anything else. And then I do have this guide. If you'd like this guide, let me know. I'll send it to you. And anybody who talks to me about selling their home, I wrote this book. It's a real book. Took way more work than I thought. And anybody be happy to give a copy too if you are interested in selling your home. And that is pretty much it. So I want to thank
Hey, Gary, there is a couple questions there. There's one about from Trevor.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I was not looking at. So Trevor, yes, with job growth, prices are expected to keep increasing, but at a slower pace.
That was me responding to Trevor. I saw his chat on there. He's asking, are prices predicted to continue increasing in your areas?
Okay, got it.
So yes, for Austin, I think, I mean, across the country in general, we've had a lot of information like, are we in a housing bubble? And the general consensus is no, we're not. It's just a supply and demand issue. But like I said, every month or so, it's like a big new company opens up, and Apple just announced like 10,000 jobs, Tesla 10,000 jobs. So wow. We aren't expecting the housing market to fall apart. We are hoping it will level out because home values went up 30% on average in the last year, which is crazy. So we can't keep doing that, but hopefully it'll kind of level out, but it's not going to crash.
Yeah, I'm with you, Shannon. I don't believe we're in a bubble. I think there may be a couple of areas around Nashville that may be in bubble territory, but when you've got job growth and a low supply of new construction, it's hard to predict that things are going to slow down that quickly. But luckily, we still have new construction available immediately.
We don't.
We do.
So
we have some areas on waiting lists, and they do lotteries. None of the builders in this area have gone to bidding and competitive pricing yet. The rate is what it is. They're getting a little stricter about upgrades though. They're just building what they want to build and somebody buys it.
I feel in Seattle as rates start to climb a little bit, and I think there's a lot of sellers that are thinking like, hey, this might be the top. I might get out, especially with empty nesters. But all the real estate pundits are saying that this is going to go on until probably mid 2022. But you never know when the top is until you start going down. But I don't
Right.
anticipate anything slowing up. And our new construction is just like our resales. It's bidding wars. But I did talk with a builder yesterday, and they said that this week was a lot slower, where they only got 3 offers compared to 10 to 12 offers in previous weeks.
We're seeing the same here in Raleigh, where appreciation is still happening in the different areas. We haven't seen a bubble at all. Interest rates went down again, so that just increased the amount of offers on new construction. We still have a lot of areas that are about 30-45 minutes out that are untapped, that are starting to see a surge.
Tampa as well. We're just continuing to raise our prices, and everything is just limited, and so is new construction. It's hard to invest.
If I can add one other thing, like when I talked about 30% appreciation in North Austin, it was 40%, which sounds again shocking, but the prices previously were only like around 250,000. So now it went up to 400,000. So if you look at like 400,000, that's still pretty cheap compared to other parts of the country. And so it's still affordable, even though it went up drastically. You could see like, okay, it could still keep going up, so you have to put it in perspective. It was just shocking for people that have lived there forever. Like, what, how much is a house now? And, you can't find anything at 250 anymore, but yeah, 400, 500 is still there.
Okay, well, on that note, we're at 7:04 p.m. And for Janet and Annie, that's 10:04 p.m. So they get a special thank you, but all of you get a thank you for being on. So that was awesome. And I appreciate it. And hopefully the attendees also appreciated it. I think they did. So thank you, gang. This was a long time in the making. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. It's been fun.
Welcome and
Okay.
thank
Bye, thank you.
All right,
Night.
take
everybody.
care.
Good night.
Bye.